Hi there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Racing Pembo. First things first, I am sorry it has been a very long time. Life has got in the way, but life is back on track, and from now, the Racing Pembo will return with as many regular videos as possible. It's not sponsored by Dog Power, it's sponsored by, nothing. It's sponsored by me, sat in a chair. And I just thought I would take this first episode to have a nice, relaxed chat about the fact that it's race week! It is, of course, the first race of the new 2026 Formula One season, a season that many people say will be revolutionary, a season that many people say could be unpredictable and exciting, a season with new cars, a season with new cars that the drivers already hate, which doesn't sound too good. The main theme during testing has been the fact that obviously these new cars have flexible front wings and flexible rear wings, and the battery is 50% of the power and a normal engine is the other 50%. But there have been stories coming out during testing that we're going to have to look forward to things like tyre management, engine management, fuel management, all the things you love when you're meant to be watching 22 drivers, 21 drivers and Lance Stroll going around a track as fast as humanly possible. So, going into testing, it was very much a case of the unknowns. We had the Barcelona secret test. I'm still not sure why it was a secret test. And then we've had two tests in Bahrain, and there have been some headlines. Headline number one, Mercedes engines are apparently very good. Very good. To the point where apparently they're so good that the rest of the grid want them to turn them down a bit because they're scared. Now, I'd understand if it was the Mercedes team, but the fact that there are lots of constructors in Formula One that use Mercedes engines, I'm okay with that. I don't mind one engine manufacturer competing for a title as long as it's several teams within that, and Mercedes don't go, right, we shall just back the main ones, we shall not back the others, and that will not be good for us. Considering that McLaren won the championship last season using a Mercedes engine, and I do apologise for the terrible German accent. The other headline from testing was the fact that Aston Martin are apparently 4.5 seconds off the pace. And when you think about it, why are we not surprised? Because as much as we have Adrian Newey, technical genius, and Fernando Alonso, a man who defies the laws of physics and nature, it would appear, Alonso is about to race in a car that has a Honda engine in the back. And for those of you who watched F1 when Honda first came back and were in the back of the McLarens, well, let's just say the term GP2 engine came up once upon a time, and it will come up again. Now, it might be that the car gets better as the season goes on, we don't know, but the fact that they went to testing and were 4.5 seconds off the pace indicates that all is not well in the Lawrence Stroll camp. So if Fernando's 4.5 seconds off the pace, I wonder how far Lance is off the pace. I'm guessing a lot. And the third and final thing is that Ferrari are going to win the World Championship because they won testing. All Lewis Hamilton fans, I can see them going, yes, Lewis is so back, he's not washed, yes, it's going to be amazing. People, lower your expectations. There are some journalists who say that the Ferrari launch control system is so good that Lewis could start towards the back and be ahead at turn 1 by the end of the first lap, or by the end of the first corner. Which sounds great, until you realise that Monaco is one of the circuits. Can you imagine that? And Lewis Hamilton leads. He started 15th, he leads going into turn 1 at Monaco. How has he managed that? Because he's literally rocketed, torpedoed into everybody else. Anyway, that's the main headlines from testing out of the way. Now, let's talk predictions. because I have some. Oh yes. We'll start with the main one. Who do I think is going to win the Drivers' World Championship? And I'm going to back the man that I backed last year, Oscar Piastri. Because, think about it this way. Piastri has had a season where he was brilliant, apart from towards the end when the car just decided to not do its thing. Now, many people will say, oh, it was because McLaren tried to favour Lando. It doesn't matter. Lando did the job he needed to do. Oscar didn't. Oscar will be more determined than ever to make sure that last year doesn't happen again. And I genuinely believe he has once again gone under the radar when it comes to driver championship favourites. You've got your usual. Lando's a favourite because he'll be looking to defend his title. Max is always a favourite. Lewis is apparently one of the favourites. I don't know why. Oh, because he's a 7 times world champion. That was so 2020. Who else? George Russell has been made. The bookies, those people who do bets, predict that George Russell is going to absolutely run away with it. I'm not so sure. Words, they do exist. Constructors' champions, however, I don't think will be McLaren. I think Oscar will win the title, but as for Constructors' champions, that's a different story altogether. And honestly, based on testing, I don't have any predictions whatsoever. So I'm going to go out there and I'm going to say that I think for the Constructors' Championships, I'm going to go with a safe bet and say Mercedes. I think the fact that all the talk has been about the engines and the compression ratios and whatnot, the fact that you've got George Russell, who had the best season of his entire life last season, and you've got Kimi Antonelli, who towards the end of the year was spectacular. I think those two will score as many points as possible, and that will give them the Constructors' Championship. And I think George will run Oscar and Lando very close in the championship. I also think Kimi might sneak into the top 6. I don't know. It's all predictions, I'm just guessing. That's what a prediction is. The driver, I think, will not do so well this season. This is unfortunately based on testing, and I'm sorry, but I don't see it going well for Fernando Alonso. The man has managed to defy age and all that is possible when it comes to high-level motorsport, or just high-level sports in general. But the thing is, he isn't getting any younger, and I think this is his last season where he'll think he has a chance to win a championship. But if that car doesn't do what he wants it to do, I think at the end of this season, Fernando will just say goodbye. Likewise, if things don't if things don't work out well for Sir Lewis Hamilton, then I don't see him staying for 2027 either. I just don't. Team that I think are going to flop tremendously hard. I'm not going to say Aston Martin based on where they are. I'm actually going to say I don't think Red Bull are going to have a great season, because I don't think Max Verstappen's not going to win a race. Of course he is, but I don't think they're going to be there or thereabouts competing for a championship. I don't think so at this moment in time. I think the fact that they are designing their own power unit, there is a massive risk involved. There's a risk with any power unit supplier. You could stick anyone's in the back and it could go really well or really, really badly. But I just think the fact that they're focusing on designing the chassis and everything, as well as their own power unit, it's a brand new power unit as well. Now in testing, it's obviously been consistent. There's not been really that many huge technical problems, but there's a risk involved. So I don't think Red Bull will do well, but I do think Isaac Hadjar will break the curse of the second Red Bull seat. Rookie of the year will go to Arvid Lindblad, and the reason I say that is he's the only rookie on the grid. Next. Teams to watch out for. I'm really, really banking on Cadillac doing well. The recipe is there. They are a new team, so they've got low expectations. Just don't finish last. They've got the most experienced driver lineup in F1, and it isn't just drivers that score points, these are drivers that have won races, which when you are a brand new team is huge. I said this in a video last year when Cadillac announced those drivers that this is an amazing bit of business. It's not about, oh, we need to put an American driver in immediately to build the brand and promote American racing drivers. It's, yes, we need to build the brand, but we need to make sure our team is good. So we need competitive drivers who can help us develop and guide the car forward. So that's why I think Cadillac will do well. I also think Audi will not disgrace anybody either. For those of you who don't know, Audi have taken over the Sauber team. So it's not just a case of, oh, you know, we're just going to put our name to Sauber and do some things there. No. The entire thing is now run by Audi. So Sauber have gone from being a small independent team with a fairly minimal budget, just making sure they score enough points year on year, to being owned by a mega car company. And with that comes a hell of a lot of money, which you do know, and you do think that Audi are going in there not to come second. They're going in there to try and win as quickly as possible. In terms of races I'm looking forward to, I am weirdly looking forward to this street track in Madrid. I'm absolutely intrigued as to how it will go. Will it go like a street track like Baku, where there's jeopardy at every turn and it's just actually a really, really good race? Or is it going to be like Monaco, but in Spain? Please be more like Baku. Please. And finally, 3 drivers to watch out for this season. Number 1, Carlos Sainz. Number 2, Ollie Behrman. And number 3, Liam Lawson. And finally, 3 drivers to watch out for this season. Number 1, Carlos Sainz, because he really, really started showing how good he was in that Williams, and 2 podiums is nothing to be sniffed at. I think it will be a nice consistent season for the smooth operator. Number 2, Ollie Behrman. It's clear that Ferrari are grooming him to replace Lewis Hamilton, and if he keeps performing in that Haas like he did last season, he will be amazing, because he was outstanding last season. And finally, Liam Lawson. Now, hear me out. Liam did 2 races at Red Bull, and it went so well for him at the big Red Bull team that he got fired. It took him a few races at Scuderia, Alpha Tauri, Visa, Cash App, whatever they're called, and it took him a bit of time to get used to the car, and the fact that it wasn't a destruction derby and that you shouldn't hit the competition. But once he got some points on the board, he was consistent, and I think now that he's going into this season with a full year of experience and not just half a year like he did in 23 and 24, he's had a full year now. So some of the tracks that he'd never been to before, he's now done. I think he will be consistent, and I think he'll be a really, really good teammate for Lindblad to measure up against. So those are my 3 to watch out for. And with that, we have reached the end of the first episode, a pre-season look and some predictions at before the first race of the F1 season. I will recap the race after it happens on Sunday. That'll be the next one. The Chinese Grand Prix will be a little bit different because I will actually be there. So if any of you happen to be in Shanghai, maybe I'll see you around. Not that I expect anyone to know who I am, but hey ho, it would be hilarious if that happens. But thank you all for watching and listening to me go completely off script, because I don't have a script. And as always, and more consistently, stick to the Racing Pembo. Go on, Oscar. And also, if you've been watching the Racing Pembo for a bit and you go, oh, but it's just F1, why doesn't he talk about other things? I will, I promise. But until then, stick with the Racing Pembo and persevere.